I didn't feel very good.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 5 and 10 letters.
Yeah.
Someone like that. You found that really funny, didn't you? There's a conflict of interest here.
Go on. Number one. Be bold. Be bold. Number one.
Harry Styles.
Styles at one. Great shouts.
Harry Kane.
Kane at two.
Wow.
Third equal.
The
Potter and the...
You're going Potter and Prince in a split for third.
And we'll have a Quidditch off.
What about this? Manager, Rio Ferdinand. Assistant manager, Prince Harry. Me and Ian, bibs and cones, doing the drills, doing the work. I honestly feel...
Again, none of this is cute anymore, okay? Prince Harry is the most hated man in the United Kingdom. Breaking today, Prince Harry makes another cringe-worthy appearance, trying to show us all that he's just Mr. Nice Guy. Remember Cheeky Chappy? This is on James Corden's World Cup show in Fox in America. But I'm going to show you the real nasty and bitter Duke, who, look at this, briefs to the front page of the weekend's Mirror newspaper that he is planning to, after all of that, start another security battle with the new UK government. Oh yes, folks, he still wants our money and is insisting that British taxpayers pay in order for him to continue his emotional reunion with the king. Well, I say hell no. And yet, of course, that is the real reason behind all of these new Prince Harry TV appearances, especially connected to sporting events. He really wants us to believe that he's much more of a football fan than his brother, Prince William. Although, when he was actually asked about that by Corden, watch closely here, he did that weird thing that he thinks is sort of like self-deprecating, but I actually believe is really passive-aggressive, actually, by playing to one person in the audience who he thought was laughing at him. Watch.
Soccer fan. I always thought that you went to a school that was too posh to play soccer. Do you know what I mean?
Like to play football?
Yes.
Why are you calling it soccer?
Because we're in the United States, baby. I always thought that you would have gone to a school about rugby, cricket, polo.
I think it was such a posh school that everything was an option.
Yes. Oh, really? So there was a football team?
There was a football team.
Were you any good?
You know what? At prep school, I was in the first team, and then I went to the bigger school, and I ended up in the E team. Being A-team.
A-team to the E-team.
Yeah. I didn't feel very good.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 5 and 10 letters.
Yeah.
Someone like that. You found that really funny, didn't you?
No, there's actually nothing funny, because here's the issue. We now know the real Prince Harry, a nasty, aggressive man, a man who wants to bring down his own family, a man who wants to bring down his own government, a man that wants to bring down his own people. So there's actually nothing cute about that when he sees someone in the audience laughing at him and he tries to make a joke. I actually think it shows his quite aggressive side, to be honest. Now, you know, Harry was dragged through this humiliation ritual because on the show a few weeks back, James Corden had joked about who the most famous Harry in the UK was, and no one amongst the famous people there, including the England football legend Rio Ferdinand, put him as number one. So Harry clearly knew that he was going to be asked about this, and it was another opportunity to show that he doesn't have the ego the same size as his Montecito mansion. Watch.
Where do you put yourself?
Where do I put myself?
In the list of greatest British Harrys. So once again, I want to make sure we're not leaving anyone out. We're going Styles, Prince, Potter, Kane.
Those are the 4.
Okay, so there's the 4.
Big H.
Where are we? I mean, are you going to be so bold now you're sat in front of the big man?
No,
because you couldn't have been.
With me at 4,
you were putting him in 4. He wasn't immovable in 4.
When you knew that I was going to be on this table, you said,
let's talk about it.
Notice where
Carmel had you. My friends were
exactly right. To be honest, I had Harry Potter number 1. When I went and reevaluated.
So what he should just do is put himself dead last, of course. He can't quite bring himself to.
Where are you ranking the British Harrys? Go. Number 1.
There's a conflict of interest here.
Go on. Number 1. Be bold. Be bold. Number 1.
Harry Styles.
Styles at 1. Great shouts.
Harry Kane.
Kane at 2.
Wow.
Third equal.
The
Potter and the...
You're going Potter and Prince in a split for third.
And we'll have a Quidditch off.
That's a great Quidditch. Live on Fox. Quidditch, live on Fox.
Trust me, that was a scripted line. I don't think it worked. You may disagree. Interestingly, Harry was then asked about why England's football team didn't make it through to the final, and he went against the mainstream view that it was the fault of the manager Thomas Tuchel and his strategy, rather suggesting that the players, and this absolutely feeds into it, doesn't it? Everything's about mentality and mental health with Harry, and he suggested that they had some type of psychological weakness.
What would it take, do you think, for England to get to a final?
Ask him.
No one wants to hear my answers.
Yeah, what do you think? What does it take?
Very careful what I say here. What's it going to take? I think it's a mindset. I think what we saw.
He knows.
He's right. We've been saying this all day. Yeah, go on.
I think that what we saw was a slight shock value for the team. Shit, we're 1-0 up against Argentina, and then there was this immediate temptation to fall into defence. I don't think it was a tactic. I don't think that was the plan. It just happened, and you can't in 72, 73 minutes, however long it was, try to defend a 1-0 lead against a team like that. You just can't. So I think if the mindset is the belief, is the fact that if you are 1-0 up, believe that you can be 2-0 up.
You need to come on my podcast.
Seriously, bore off. If there is one man I will never take psychological advice from in the world, it's Prince Harry. But this outing was all about James Corden trying to do his good friend's PR as usual.
Once Thomas Tuchel steps down in 2 years' time after the Euros, what about this? Manager, Rio Ferdinand. Assistant manager, Prince Harry. Me and Ian, bibs and cones, doing the drills, doing the work. I honestly feel...
Again, none of this is cute anymore, okay? Prince Harry is the most hated man in the United Kingdom, or the most hated celebrity, at least, in the United Kingdom. Maybe a few politicians would be more unpopular than him, like the outgoing Prime Minister, Slippery Starmer. And any of these jokes just fall flat because there's no acknowledgement of how he turned on the country and its people. Much of Harry's desperate bid to link himself to football, of course, is because of the jealousy that he has of Prince William. It is worth noting, and I first revealed this news many weeks ago, that Harry was not invited to one game at the FIFA tournament, in part because, of course, it was something very much supported by the Donald Trump administration, who wanted to put David Beckham, Harry's arch rival, at the front and centre of it all. But according to Taz, was very hot on this whole idea of the Prince William rivalry, writing, Harry is still trying to copy Prince William's passion for football in everything he does. Prince William gets asked to be on football shows because he is incredibly knowledgeable about the game and because he loves and supports it. Harry doesn't care about football. He doesn't even have a team he watches and supports. He has nothing intelligent or interesting to say and just babbles, waving his hands around like he's trying to land a small aircraft. Every conversation he always has comes down to mindset, and he just repeats the same buzzwords regardless of the topic. A few weeks ago, we saw Harry the pretend statesman stood on stage in Ukraine in front of a huge Union Jack like he was a British diplomat, as he publicly called out, antagonized Trump and Putin like he had a voice of authority. Now Harry is back pretending to be the carefree Harry, the Jack the Lad persona he was many years ago. It just doesn't work. He's been a miserable, bitter, angry, vengeful and vindictive man for so long that this, to me, looks as engineered as his wife's kitchen skills. And Torre Baccahay was even more brutal. Adding, Prince Harry, a talentless old baldy without a job who owes everything to inherited wealth and privilege, is still desperately trying to break into showbiz. He's everything Meghan Markle taught him to be. Jerry, very dishonest and hypocritical, and incredibly annoying. And I do think he is trying to work his way back into the showbiz spotlight. Remember, this comes hot on the heels of his solo appearance at the Time 100 sports event in America last week, straight after his return from his meeting with King Charles in the UK. But there is a much more fundamental problem, which Tom Sykes of The Royalist is hot on, and it is, who is the real Harry? Like, will the real Prince Harry please stand up? Who are you? Are you the Jack the Lag, making jokes about your pubic hair and defecating on the M5, the motorway? Or are you Prince Harry, the very serious campaigner for mental health and against the media? And Sykes argues that really this cheeky, chappy rebrand isn't working. He says Bears on the Table on Fox, the man who complained about being falsely portrayed as a joker, is now back doing crowd work. And he refers back to what Prince Harry almost wants us to forget, and yet we never will. Spare, who he says, at its core, is 400 pages of a man complaining that the institution cast him as the thick one, the naughty one, the party prince, the lovable ginger idiot, a role assigned to him so William could be the serious one. was misrepresented, and actually he kept insisting he was a thinker, a sensitive soul, a seeker, a man of depth and wounds. 6 years of that, and now here he is on Fox doing the cartoon stuff again, voluntarily, one assumes, with an unconvincing look and an even more unconvincing glass of lager. Being packaged as a cheeky chappy was an unforgivable institution cruelty when the palace did it. Now it seems to be a savvy relaunch strategy. Glad we've cleared that up. This is also about the Duke of Sussex deciding Britain is his last best hope, but even by Harry's standards, trying to find a route back into British affection through beer and football is as transparent as buying your wife flowers after an argument with her own credit card. We have spent years with feelings, Harry. Harry who journals, Harry who processes, Harry who discusses trauma across every format known to the streaming economy. And overnight, bloke Harry is back, delivering an actual tactical monologue on England before diagnosing the team's problem as their mindset. The most podcast bloke sentence in the English language. It's the same playbook we saw on the sad and embarrassing Joe Marler show last week, of course. Trouble is, there is already a senior royal doing soccer football, and it's William. He is literally the president of the FA. The World Cup is his patch, and he is pretty good at it. I mean, he has a head start living in a country where it is the national sport and all. Is Harry even a fan of a local team? No, he's not. Harry planting himself on a soccer broadcast to hold forth on England's mindset is just an embarrassing attempt to stand on his brother's toes, frankly. Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network, with me now to dissect all of this. I'm sorry, Brittany, to me, it was an unconvincing performance. James Corden is a man who I know pretty well, and he's a strategic brain when it comes to showbiz, and he absolutely wants to reinvent Harry and make Harry palatable to the United Kingdom again. Because remember, Corden's moved back to the UK. It all didn't work out in America, and now he's back in the UK. I don't think this is going to work for Harry, do you? Because unlike Harry, James Corden hadn't spent 2 years trying to tear down the country and its very institutions, including the royal family that he's a part of.
I mean, Dan, I just don't understand how Harry or his team think this is going to work. Honestly, it might be a strategy if Harry was a bit younger, but he's kind of getting too old for this game at this point. I mean, he would hate to hear that, but I think that's kind of sort of the truth here. And the reality is that the problem that has plagued Harry and Meghan for years and years now is a lack of authenticity. And Harry comes across here like he knows nothing about football, can add nothing to the conversation about it, talks about mindset, talks about buzzwords, trying to be funny, but not. And, you know, basically telling us that, yeah, at one point he was kind of good at sports and then he really wasn't. He was sort of not really high up in the ranking. And does he, beyond polo, play any sports anymore? I don't think so. So if this is not really a thing he enjoys, then let it go. But I think because of Invictus Games, he is so obsessed with it that he is trying to, I think, maneuver himself into some sort of like sporting voice. But it's just a joke. Nobody's buying it. Nobody watches the Invictus Games. He's just an absolute joke on this topic. And it came across very well in James Corden's show.
And by the way, no Brits, well, I'm not going to say Brits, no English folk are going to accept his diagnosis of that semi-final result where we all just think the Argentinians cheated, basically. But I'm going to put that to one side, okay, given we're an international show, and there's probably some Argentinians watching right now. Brittany, where none of this added up, of course, is that you look at who Harry really is, and I believe it's an embittered man who absolutely has not moved on at all from his huge losses. And remember, there's the loss against the Daily Mail. He still hasn't confirmed, Brittany, that he's not going to appeal that decision. He's just pushed it to one side. And then we have the bigger battle that he's now taking on, and it's versus the British government in terms of his security detail. And the Sunday Mirror front page this week, Brittany, which he directly worked with, briefed all of the background information to, and then provided an on-the-record quote for that front page article, is absolutely telling to me, because it shows you that he isn't moving on. He's not even contemplating moving on. So you might see this sort of happy-go-lucky Harry and his team might be briefing, oh no, the battles are over, but that's not the reality, as this article proved, Brittany, because Russell Myers, the royal editor of the newspaper, says that Harry is determined to pursue his battle with the Home Office. So remember, Brittany, what that actually means. That means going back to war with the King's government. Just today in the United Kingdom, King Charles has said bye-bye to slippery Starmer and welcomed in a new Prime Minister called Andy Burnham. That all took place at Buckingham Palace, Brittany, just this morning, UK time. Harry, the day before this new government comes in, is putting on serious political pressure because let me just point out to you, Brittany, that the Sunday Mirror newspaper is a left-wing newspaper which is regarded as the Labour Bible. Okay, so he is directly putting political pressure on his on the new government, which is His Majesty's government, his King's government. So he's learned nothing. So let me just take you through the briefing, Brittany. This is what Russell Myers wrote, and I do believe that this has come directly from Prince Harry and his team in Montecito. Prince Harry is to continue his controversial campaign demanding taxpayer-funded security, paving the way for future visits to the UK with his family. The Duke of Sussex has been buoyed by an emotional reunion with the King alongside his wife Meghan and their children Archie and Lily earlier this month for the first time in 4 years. Sources have revealed Harry wants to arrange further meetings with his father to allow him to spend time with his grandchildren he has hardly seen since the Duke and Duchess quit their roles in 2020 and moved to the United States. Harry is set to return to the UK in September for the annual Well Child Awards, a charity he has supported for many years, becoming a patron in 2007. He will also be at the 2027 Invictus Games in Birmingham and is hopeful his family will be able to accompany him. So confirmation there, Brittany, that he wants to do the big unveil of Archie and Lily's faces at the Birmingham Games next year. But, because there's always a catch, Harry now plans to continue to lobby the Home Secretary to complete an urgent review into his security after he sent the department a report from his private security company claiming he is a terror target. And then, by the way, leaked it to Chris Shipp of Woke ITV. So he didn't let the process play out. He didn't get what he wanted immediately, so he leaked said report. Sources suggested the Home Office was further angered by Harry's plan, suggesting the Duke announced his itinerary in the hope of forcing the government to grant them security, which was removed when the Duke and Duchess left their royal roles in 2020. So that's interesting. Confirmation that the Labour government was not happy with the way that Harry dealt with this. Neither the Palace or the Sussex's team have revealed the details of the meeting with the King, apart from the fact that it took place on Saturday, July 11, where Charles and Camilla hosted them for afternoon tea. I mean, again, that's, I believe, a mistake on the part of the Daily Mirror, because, of course, we were told, at least, if you believe it, that the meeting took place the day before. One source described the meeting as emotional, and both the King and Harry hope to arrange a further gathering in the future. But, Brittany, then we get confirmation that this is an officially briefed piece, because a spokesman for the Duchess of Sussex, that is the UK-based Liam Maguire, really his only PR professional, goes on the record within the piece to say, the Duke continues to make the case that he and his family face an enduring security risk by virtue of the circumstances of his birth and his membership of the royal family. The threats that existed while he was a working member of the institution did not simply vanish when he stepped back from official duties 6 years ago. They remain, and the most recent threat assessment underscores the continuing nature of those risks. In fairness, the Daily Mirror did get a critic of Harry. They spoke to Norman Baker, a former Privy Councillor, author of the book on royal finances, Royal Mint, National Debt, to provide the opposing view. He said Harry needs to accept that the question of his security has been considered exhaustively and independently, but he refuses to accept the answer. The issue, I think, is not who pays, but that he wants security personnel with guns, and that is not possible with private security people in this country. It bewilders me that he is so worried about security in the UK, generally a pretty safe country, but not about the USA, where gun deaths are too a penny. And Lee Cohen responded to this new briefing from Harry, writing, no matter what the poisonous grifters are eyeing, it's never going to happen unless, of course, the palace simply abandon any concerns for the reputation of the monarchy moving forward. If the cancerous couple are welcomed back, it will be impossible to respect the crown. And that sort of shows you, Brittany, this is a fault line moment, and I think the King has to be so careful. It's like you went ahead with this meeting against all of the advice, including from your own son. There's a new UK government, and immediately Harry is not only briefing the newspapers, Brittany, he's giving them on-the-record quotes undermining your government's decision, Charles. Like, when will this end? And the problem I have, Brittany, is I don't think enough people are looking into this because they're sort of bored of it. They're bored of Harry's moans, but it matters because Charles doesn't seem to realise the threat that he's putting the institution under.
I mean, Dan, this is such actually a critical fault point, like you said, because when it comes to Harry's children's security, especially, the government had already decided when he was a working royal, they're not getting any. And that was a decision made back in 2019 when Archie was born. And none of the circumstances have changed since. There is no reason to extend security to Archie or Lily. They are constitutionally irrelevant. And Harry will become soon constitutionally irrelevant as Wales's children have children. So this whole argument that Harry is proposing is just something that is unable to get through his very, very thick, very, very dim, skull, that he's not going to get this. This is a done deal. Like, there is no going back. You left. The security is gone. And I'm sorry, maybe you have delusions that everybody is after you, but the government has looked at this exhaustively and has found nothing. There is literally nothing. And so Harry just needs to let this go. But again, I think this feeds his delusions of grandeur. This feeds so much. And he just won't meet with his father, won't let his children spend time with him over this delusional thing that he has in his brain. And it's just not possible. Nobody wants to expend money on him. He is not working for the government anymore. He's not working royal. And even full-time working royals like Princess Anne and Edward don't get full-time security. They only get security generally when they're on royal engagement. So Harry just needs to let this go. This is not going to happen. And this is the future, and this was always going to happen to him. That's the reality that he refuses to acknowledge. He wants to be William, and he can never be, and that's what makes him so incredibly angry.
And Brittany, it's not going to help the growing doubt about whether Meghan and the invisible children were actually here for the meeting. The fact that the Daily Mirror said it took place on a different day to what the palace announced. Now, I have a different view of this, but I wanted to show you what my friend Lauren, the insider, said as to why she now does have doubts as to whether Meghan, Archie and Lily were ever here.
I cannot confirm to you that Meghan Markle and the invisible children were in the UK. I have no evidence of that. There are no pictures. And when I say pictures, I'm talking about external source images. There was videos flying around social media of the cars, the allegedly, those Range Rovers in convoy going into Highgrove. Well, those were old videos. So in the absence of any proper evidence, we are left to think they may not have been in the country. Now, until I can see some hardcore evidence to show me that's time-stamped, and that is from a source outside of the tiny Royal Rota or the approved Press Association photographers, I don't believe they were in the UK.
Now, Brittany, I do understand why people have that skepticism for obvious reasons. Actually, I take a different view, Brittany, which is that I had been saying for months, and indeed years, that it would be completely possible for Meghan and the children to slip into this country safely, without anyone seeing. We have an absolutely supine sort of media here. There's no big paparazzi followers like there are in the United States. Indeed, on most occasions in the United Kingdom, because of the strict regulation, if someone is photographed or paparazzi, it's either by sheer luck or because of the fact that the celebrity themselves has tipped off the paparazzi. Do you see what I mean? So I've always said it would have been perfectly possible for Meghan and the children to sneak in without being seen, with no security risk whatsoever. So while I totally understand why there are the doubts, it actually proves, I think, my theory, which is that Harry and Meghan's moans about security should be taken just as that, meaningless moans.
Exactly, Dan. This is proving that Harry and Meghan's hysteria over security. And I mean, it's pretty much Harry's. I think Meghan would totally avoid the UK if she wasn't desperate for cash after kind of everything has fallen apart for them there in Hollywood. But this proves that Harry, Meghan, and the kids can come to the UK with minimum fuss and see Charles and the rest of the royals just spend time on private estates. And guess what? They're perfectly fine. Nobody saw them. There wasn't this big paparazzi chase, because you're right, paparazzi just don't really even exist anymore. Even in the States, any photos you see of celebrities out and about, 9/10 of the time that has been arranged. Occasionally, maybe somebody sees somebody by accident or by happenstance, but everything is arranged anymore. There is no roaming paparazzi like there were in the early 2000s and in the 90s. So Harry and Meghan's delusions here have been revealed for what they are, and that the truth has come out that they can come to the UK, have a private time with Charles, have a private time with whoever they have that are friends. I'm not sure even who their quote unquote friends are, and leave and not have any issues. And so I don't even understand why Harry is advocating for security, because obviously everything went off without a hitch. You should feel comforted, Harry, that you can come back here at any time with your kids and go and see your father, and it's all okay. So again, the emperors without his clothes, Harry and Meghan, have been revealed for the hypocrites and sort of, I would argue, the liars that they are when it comes to this security issue.
Oh, absolutely they have. Absolutely they have, Brittany, and I don't disagree with that one bit.
This video is for news reporting, commentary, and educational purposes. The views expressed are based on publicly available information and personal analysis. We strive for accuracy but encourage viewers to verify information through official sources.